Hi everybody, I'm Jackie Miller and I am a life recovery coach. I'm a certified professional coach. I am an educator and I am an author. Those are just a few of the gifts that God has given me that I am currently utilizing. But my reason for this video is to share with you a little bit about my story and my struggles, because I haven't always walked in the gifts that God has given me because of insecurity, the fear of being criticized, worried about what other people would say or think. And so I sat down on a lot of the gifts and I didn't share them. It wasn't until recently that I decided that, okay, I gotta do what God has told me to do. Last year, I had an opportunity to go away on what I consider a 3-day sabbatical. And it was to a place where you spend quality time alone with God. And what I did is the first assignment that they gave you was to go down on your knees, go before the Lord, and ask God to show you the things that you hide, the hidden things, so that you can come face to face with those things so that you can move past in order to just get everything that He has in store for you. And when I went away and I did that, as I prayed before the Lord and asked God, show me the hidden places, because I knew that I had suppressed so many things. I knew that there were quite a few things that had happened to me and that I didn't want anybody to know. And if I did share those things, so many people would be hurt just by me sharing them. So I decided, okay, I'll keep it to myself. But it caused me so much pain, and I hurt a lot of people because I didn't deal with those issues. But as I was praying before the Lord, and I said, God, show me the hidden places. Show me the things that I'm dealing with that I don't even realize I'm dealing with. I know, God, that I'm struggling with being able to forgive people and just some other things, but I want you to tell me what those things are. And as I cried out to the Lord, He showed me that I had a spirit of pride. And it came before my face just like, oh, it was so clear. And I just cried out because I never thought that I had a spirit of pride or that I was prideful. I always thought that I was just confident because I was the oldest of 6 children and I had to be the big sister. I had to take care of everyone. So I didn't consider it prideful. I just thought I was confident. And I just always thought that I was very assertive. And then He also showed me that I had a judgmental spirit. I judged people a lot. And I thought about that. And at first I was like, judging? Then I said, yeah, that was my struggle, because I always tried to surround myself with like-minded individuals or those that I consider to be Christians in the church. And anyone that didn't do what I thought that they should do or wasn't living by the standard that I thought based on the Bible, I had a tendency to pass judgment. And it was wrong because I had my own issues. I had my own problems. And to tell someone what they are going to do or the consequences of their actions was out of order and it was out of place, because the Bible tells us to judge ye not. He tells us that judge ye not because He's the ultimate judge. He will do the judging. So yes, that was true. And then He also showed me that I had a spirit of unforgiveness, and that broke me. He began to show me all of the things that had happened in my past when I was a child and the people that I needed to forgive and that I had not forgive. And just imagine holding on to something for 30 years. Some people hold on to it for 40 years. And I realized I had to forgive. And He said, I told you to forgive. And I told you to trust in me with all of your heart. It doesn't matter what you went through or who offended you, because you can expect to be offended in this life, especially when you are trying to walk on a road of straight and narrow. There are going to be people that are going to try you. They're going to test you. They're going to test your religion and test your faith, but you got to forgive them. And I know that Jesus was telling His disciples one time, He said, expect to be offended. You can expect that. And whether we know it or not, there are some times when we offend other people. But thank God that he's a forgiving God, that he teaches us when we say our prayers or when we pray unto him, we ask for forgiveness. So if he continuously forgive us, we got to forgive other people. And once I did that, I got up off of my knees and I just began to continue to cry out to the Lord, because now I had to deal with the struggles that I had been suppressing for so many years. And I knew that God was calling me to greater things. I knew he had a greater work for me, but because of all my problems and my issues and my inability to forgive, I had to let go of some things. So I asked for forgiveness, and he said that I want you to trust in me with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. There were so many things that happened, and I didn't understand why, but they happened. But now I know that all those things were working together for good. Everything that I encountered from growing up, I find that now God is using those experiences to help and bless other people. There are so many people that struggle with divorce. I've been divorced. Struggle with raising your children. I've done that. I did the best that I could. Also struggle with insecurity, guilt, and shame when I was violated, even though it wasn't my fault. Yeah, I walked around in guilt and shame, because you begin to question what it is that maybe you've done wrong. Or even when you separate from your husband or divorce your husband or wife, then you're wondering, well, what did I do wrong? It doesn't matter what happened. All you can do is accept the experience and ask God, well, what is it that I can learn from this experience? And that is something that I had to learn to do. It didn't happen overnight. It took much prayer, much seeking God's face, and just going before him, asking him to help me. And one thing I do know, that if you pray and you ask God to give you what you need and give you the desires of your heart, he will do that. As I look back over my life and I think about the divorce, and I say, well, God, yeah, that's an experience that I had encountered, but what did you learn from it? Then I look back over the way some people treated me, and then I say, yeah, God, now I can kind of like try to understand where you want me to go from here. What do you want me to share with your people? So when I was 21 years old, my pastor at that time told me that God was calling me to ministry. And yeah, I tried to run from that. For 30 years, I tried to run away. And I always knew that I was a leader, and I've always been in leadership positions within the church. I've always led people in my neighborhood, in my community, in my home with my 5 siblings, and the church. I've always been a leader. But God was calling me to a greater level, a higher level in him. So he asked me, and then years later, my pastor asked me again, so when are you going to accept the call that God has on your life? And I just smiled and kept going. And then I went to a convention, 3-day convention. And then as the word went forth, there was a prophet there. And she came over to me. You know how sometimes they single out certain people. And she came over to me and she asked, when are you going to stop running from God? Now, this is the 3rd time. And then guess what? There was another time. I went to another event. And just like everybody else, I'm just trying to enjoy the worship experience. And one thing about it, when you know that God has something for you to do, you become very uncomfortable when there's a prophet in the house. And then the prophet came over to me and said, when are you going to do what God says do? And it was just like, oh my goodness, is this really, really happening? So that was 4 times that someone confirmed that God had a calling on my life. So what I did is I just said, okay, God, trying to run away. And I'm so involved in ministry in the church. I am just so active. I lead the choir. I do solos in the choir. I participate with the women's ministry, the food pantry. There are just so many things that I've always done, but I tried to run from the ultimate call that God had on my life. So if that's you and you're in that place where you are stuck and you know that God has something greater for you to do, and it may not be the call to ministry. It could be anything. It could be starting that organization or that ministry in your community, or it could be just getting that business started or writing that book that will impact the lives of God's people. Whatever it is, it's time to stop running. So let me just bring it up forward a little bit, fast forward. One of my children became extremely sick, and then another one was acting up. And then my marriage was just like, okay, that's it. It's over after trying for so many years. And I was just a wreck, and I didn't know what else to do. Then there was a minister who ministered one Sunday, and he used the subject, "This means war." And he began to talk about how the enemy will attack you all at one time. And just think about it. My marriage, my children, and also my finances. And I said, okay, bring it on, devil. Bring it on. And it's just that when I began to pray in war and try to pull down those strongholds that were in my life, something else happened that I didn't expect to happen. And the devil, he don't fight fair. You got to remember that. And so many people get mad and say, I'm so sick and tired of the devil. And I tell them, why are you so angry at him? He's doing what he said he would do. You know, he comes to steal, kill, and to destroy. That's what he does. So when he's trying to destroy your marriage, what's the problem? When he's trying to kill a vision that you have that God has given you, why are you tripping? That's what he does. He steals, kills, and he destroys. So the thing is, you have to put on the whole armor. This is not a fair fight. And this is a spiritual battle.